Hello and welcome to the Wow Show, an hour full of stories from and for truck drivers on the road. We're going to have fun saying thank you for who you are and what you do as drivers. And we're going to talk to some people who know their stuff so that we can learn more. My name is David Binyachek. I'm your host. Let's get started. So, hey, Canada, welcome to the Wow Show. As you know, one of the things that we do on the show on a regular basis is to share stories from and for drivers on the road. And we have the privilege, I've got, two other gentlemen on a Zoom call right now, and you're hearing the audio. We are with Ty Jam, who is one of the organizers of All Out Big Rigs No Limits. And we're with Justin Price from Jade Transport. And he's the winner of this month's contest on the All Out Big Rigs No Limits site. Congratulations, Justin.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Ty, how you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good to see you again. Ty's going to become, if you listen to CBC, you see Power in Politics, they have the power panel. I have a feeling because this dude's awesome that Ty is going to be one of our regular guests, and you're going to hear his voice a lot, and that's a good thing because you can learn a lot from this man. Justin, tell us about first of all, tell us about your ride. I mean, Jade Transport, one of the nicest fleets on the road, and you've got a pretty special, I believe it's a 2019 Pete. Tell us about your ride that you go up and down the highways with.
Yeah. So it's a 2019 389 short hood on car hauler suspension. It's got a 2006 Caterpillar motor in it.
Yeah.
And they've dressed it up pretty good with a lot of the shift product stuff through Jade. Yeah. Just a 240 base. It's my little hot rod. I'm quite happy with it. Yep.
Well, you know what? And knowing Larry and knowing the guys at Jade, I mean, you can't be with a better company. And I know they award trucks based on merit. So talk about when they presented this to you, how that went, and how you got this truck.
Okay, so Jonathan had been telling me about these new trucks they were speccing out, and he kind of told me what he was going to do about this one specific truck. So one weekend, Larry and Kim had came to Saskatoon, and they invited me out for dinner. And Larry had started talking about what he was doing to this one truck and asking my opinion on certain things, how I would do this and do that, certain types of wheels and exhaust. Yeah. And then he invited me to come to the Class Pace display in Denton, Texas, and that's how he told me I was getting this truck.
That is a sweet invitation.
So if anybody knows about the Class Pace display, it's an invitation-only show at the Peterbilt factory. Jade has a standing ovation or standing invitation every year, and so that's how I got to go. It was pretty cool.
I love that. So I'm just going to make a call out to any fleet managers that are listening right now, and this is truly at my heart, and Jade kind of proves it. A lot of people say we're in a driver shortage, but if you treat your drivers right, there is no shortage. You're going to attract the best of the best. And Jade is, I love what you said. He sat me down and he listened. How many bosses out there listen to their people? and then offering to send you, that's a slice of heaven. I love it. Tell us about yourself. Where were you born?
I was born in Peterborough, Ontario. Okay. Born and raised in Bancroft, Ontario, which is about 2 hours west of Ottawa.
Oh my goodness. I was there this summer. It's a small little town. And a good friend of ours, they have a cottage in Ottawa. They were born and raised there. So I was out in Bancroft. So Bancroft, Ontario, all 521 of you. Hello. What was life like growing up in Bancroft?
It was fun. We had to find a lot of our own activities and fun, but we managed.
Yeah.
When I was in high school, we all had CB radios in our cars, and we used to run around town at nighttime. We used to play hide and go seek in our cars with CB radios.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Yeah, we used to play that for hours. We never get into trouble with the cops that way because we just kept ourselves occupied, right?
Yeah. I'm a big believer when it comes to, kids and teenagers and whatever, sometimes I think we overschedule them, and then they can't figure out what to do with themselves on their own. And when you're in that environment where you have to make your own fun, it's amazing how it just gives you creativity, and you do stuff that you have a blast with, and no one structured it for you, but it's an amazing thing. So that's pretty cool that you were in Bancroft and I was in Bancroft. Another link we figured out because Ty, you met Justin in Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario, which is where I went to high school. So tell me about meeting this guy and what your impressions were.
Actually,
Sorry, sorry,
Justin,
I just missed what he was saying there. The phone froze up there for a second.
Oh, okay, no problem. I heard you fine. So I'm just saying, I was just telling Ty that it's kind of cool. Bancroft is a tie between you and me, and then Sault Ste. Marie is this tie between all three of us because that's where he met you. And
Right.
so I'm just asking him to tell us what first impressions were.
when I first met, I something tells me I've met Justin once before, the Sault Ste. Marie, but the meeting him in Sault Ste. Marie is something that's really stuck out in my mind with him. I think he came up to me first and said, "Hey Ty, how's it going?" or whatever, and I recognized him and his truck from the group,
Yeah.
and I noticed he was wearing a T-shirt. Tina from Lesco had put my truck on one of their T-shirts,
Nice.
and he was wearing my T-shirt. I was like,
Yeah.
Well, this is another link because Tina and Lesko just signed up to support the show. And so I'm very grateful for them. I love what they do, both for people in the industry through their toy run and other stuff. So we just keep connecting. So keep on going, Ty. Tell us about Justin.
Yeah. And we just visited there for a while, and I think we were going opposite directions, or maybe one of us was staying the night there. I think I had my oldest kid with me too.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was basically it. But
yeah.
We just came from the Clifford Truck Show. I was on my way back west. I had spent the weekend at the truck show. Yeah, and Ty was going one way and I was going the other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Would it be fair to say that people in the trucking industry have a better memory than others? I'm constantly amazed by how the people that I talk to remember specifics about something that happened like 25 years ago. And I like for myself, I'm clueless. Like I'll kind of remember what happened and who was there, but just this, like, it's awesome that you remember where you were coming back from. That's insanely good. I love it. Now, Justin, we have another thing in common. I come from Ontario. I was born in Port Colborne, Ontario, and then I moved up to Sault Ste. Marie, but I ended up out west. So I was the lone person in my family to heed the call, go west, young man, and ended up in Calgary. You're in Saskatoon. Tell us about what got you out to the west and how you landed up in Saskatoon.
Well, at the end of 2013, I left Woodstock, Ontario, where I'd actually been working since I had graduated high school for Laidlaw Carriers. I was going to go to Grand Prairie to work in the oil patch for 4 months, but I stayed for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then the oil patch started to crash. I had been trying to get on with Jade years ago, but because I'm an insulin-dependent diabetic, I wasn't able to drive a commercial vehicle in the U.S. So trying to get me home to southwestern Ontario was going to be a very big issue. So it wasn't going to work. So before I left Alberta at the end of 2015, I called Henry in our office and I said, "What about now? Like, could something work?" And he told me about this new division they had started in Saskatoon. He said, "If you're interested and willing to relocate, you can speak with Jonathan and we'll see what can happen." Awesome. Jonathan called me that afternoon. We had about an hour-long conversation on the phone, and he says, "I love it. Let's do it." 3 days later, I left for Winnipeg for orientation, and here we are 5 years later, and I'm still ticking away.
And you're helping him run the Saskatoon division. That's awesome.
Actually, I am. So I'm his senior man. When he take holidays or needs to go away for any kind, or just needs some time off, I will jump in and go behind the desk for days or a week and dispatch and kind of look after things as I can.
That's cool. So a quiz question, with a license or without a license, at what age did you first drive a truck?
I was able to drive by the time I was, by the age of 8, I was able to do it by myself. I was, by the time I was 11, I was unloading a pneumatic tanker by myself. Yeah.
Wow.
That's
And
crazy.
there might have been a few trips alone when I was 16 years old
Yeah.
at nighttime. Yeah. But yeah, it started at a very young age. The first trip I made in the truck with my dad, I was a year old.
Yeah. Well, tell us
Yeah. So
about
I've
him.
grown up around it. My dad's been an owner operator for years. He's been in the industry 40 plus years. So it's
Kudos.
been,
Is he still going?
yeah, he's just seasonal now. He drives a dump truck over in the Muskokas, just seasonal.
Well, I
And
thought,
yeah.
I thought you were going to say he carries a load down to Florida around November and then brings a load back to Ontario in April.
Yeah.
I wish.
Yeah, no kidding.
What's your dad's name, Justin?
My dad's name is Bob Price.
Yeah. Well,
He's
Bob,
he's my best friend and my biggest mentor in life and in for my career.
Bob, shout out to you. Thank you for what you do and did. And thanks for raising a cool kid. Justin, it sounds like you, well, it's obvious. It's pretty easy within even a few minutes of meeting someone to establish whether they care about what they do or they have a heart for what they do. And you've obviously got it. What drives your love of trucking and life on the road, and where does that come from?
Oh, just being in the industry, just going out and seeing the countryside and learning from some of these older boys that have been in it for a while, like hearing their stories and meeting new friends and old faces and everything about it that I love. The trucks, maybe not so much the trucks nowadays, but some of the older stuff for sure.
Yeah, what is your dream truck? If you could have any truck in the world for the rest of your career, what would it? Time doesn't matter. Obviously, they only began at a certain point in time, but what's your dream truck?
Oh wow, that's a good question.
Listen up, Larry.
I like the old Pete's, the old Kenworth. My dad had a 1980 Kenworth,
Okay.
255 wheelbase with a mechanical Cummins in it, and that was a pretty cool truck. If I could do something like that, that would be probably a goal. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. What's your biggest? Not you're not a man that focuses on beefs, but what's your biggest concern about the industry today?
Some of the new drivers and their lack of professionalism and class
Okay.
and their skill. It's really getting sad, to be honest with you.
Okay.
No,
What do you think?
Sorry.
No, I say, what do you think contributes to the change in attitudes in the industry? Because you're not the only one to say that. And there are a ton of great young drivers out there. We showcased one in your group last month. So it doesn't mean they don't exist. But
Absolutely.
the Knights of the Road tends to be generational, right? And so what do you think caused that shift?
Lack of training.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably the biggest one, and people just wanting to be truck drivers and thinking they're going to make $1 million doing it. But
Yeah.
I don't know. It's still an industry that you have to work for. You have to work for your money,
Yes.
and we all have to work together to do it too. It's just not everybody. It's just everybody's out there for themselves these days, and nobody wants to stop and help a stranded driver or somebody who's broke down, or there's just nobody pays it forward anymore.
Right. Yeah. And that's why we're showcasing the ones that do. So hopefully it snowballs and continues to grow back. I know I mean, Ty knows this about me. I'm a huge believer in community, and that's what I love, why I love what he does through all our big rigs. It's amazing how today's society is all about me and all about personal development, but people develop the best when they're in community. That's where it happens. It's not in isolation. So I'm with you, Justin. You know what? But on the issue of driver training, and then I'll leave it alone. And I'm the photographer. You guys are the drivers. But I think that standards are good, and kind of what you said, even inadvertently, Ty, is really correct. in that as we raise the standards to become a trucker, because too many truckers don't appreciate how skilled they are at what they do. And I think that's going to help a lot at bringing back the Knights of the Road and bringing back self-esteem and people feeling good about being part of a community. Is just, you know, the having to work a little bit for this particular designation so they recognize that what they do is not easy. And like it's you know, it's not a default. It's a professional trade, and it's important.
I think that some of the blame should be pointed towards these mega fleets as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, not saying any names or anything like that, but their turnover rate is extremely high because their rates are really low, and anybody with like our kind of experience would never go up and down the road for the rates that they're paying their drivers.
Yeah.
So that kind of reflects on the skill, because when you have a high rollover rate on your drivers, you're always going to be short on drivers.
Yeah.
So you're going to be trying to help these guys, rifle them through getting their license, not giving them the proper training. Like when I think back to when I got my license, they didn't teach me how to unload. They didn't teach me, very rarely, like how to, I had to back up in a straight line. That's it. They never taught me how to back into a parking spot or nothing like that. So you get a lot of these guys that are just being pushed through it. And they're being told you're going to make good money. You know, this is an easy job, and they don't know any better. So it's not really the driver's fault when they have an accident or something bad happens. It is, like Justin said, lack of training, and it kind of, to me, those mega fleets are kind of ruining it when you look at it at that angle.
Yeah, and so and that's where I'm not a huge fan of government getting involved everywhere, but creating that environment where there are some higher standards, I think, is probably a good thing, and a good thing that the government's doing.
I agree with 100% about that. You know, with these big fleets, and these guys, you know, we're the first ones to jump and say something nasty about somebody that has an accident, but it's not, like Ty said, it's not because they you know, they're dumb, or it's just because they don't know any better.
Yeah.
And a lot of us don't take the time anymore to stop and then help them when they are having troubles.
I think that is so dead on, Justin. We need to separate people from the circumstance, and I'm with you. This criticizing them is not okay in my books, because they were part of a system that just pushed them through, and probably they needed the income or whatever, and so they go along. It's not their choice per se, but so I love that differentiation you made. We can talk about a lack of training for new drivers without criticizing people, and that's important, because people make this industry. And the
driving schools, they don't teach you enough anymore. They teach you enough to pass the test, and send you on your way.
Yeah.
I myself, I don't know about Ty, but I myself didn't go to driving school. I learned from sitting in that seat to the right of me here and watching and learning.
You've had that truck that long? I'm just kidding.
Oh, no. 2019, you're still wet behind the ears, eh?
I thought you said it was 5 years ago.
19 years ago. I've been driving now for 19 years.
That's awesome. So what does the future look like for you? I mean, you kind of landed. It's like playing for the Lakers in the NBA, or playing for, well, I guess now it's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in the NFL, with now that Brady's there, or the Peterborough Petes. Like you're playing with the franchise. What's the future look like for you?
You know what? I'm just gonna keep plugging away until something more happens for me here, or I'm ready to settle down.
Yeah,
I'm quite happy here. I have no thought at all or want to change anything about where I am right now.
That's cool.
I'm quite content here with my job. You know, the people I work for and the people I work with, and I just want to keep going and see where it goes.
That's sweet. So where all are you running these days?
I just started running, the US last year, but mostly now I'm in the US, but anywhere in Canada and down in the States here right now.
Okay.
I've been this summer, I was down in Douglas, Arizona, right at the Mexico border, Denver, Colorado. A couple weeks ago, I was out as far as Skowhegan, Maine. Yeah, just Vancouver,
Yeah,
Quebec, Ontario, just anywhere.
I like it.
Where the really money is, I'll go.
It's a beautiful continent. Do you have a favorite piece of road to drive?
You know what, David? I love it all. I mean, Northern Ontario is getting kind of, that used to be one of my favorites, but it's getting pretty rough. But if I had one place to say was my favorite over the years, was probably my trip to Newfoundland back in 2013. I got to go to St. John's, and driving my truck onto a big boat sailing across the ocean was kind of nerve wracking. But yeah, it was probably the best trip I've ever made.
Well, we have another connection there because when you mentioned Northern Ontario, it probably still is to this day. In the fall time, the drive from the Sioux to Winnipeg along Highway 17 and Lake Superior, and the colors in Northern Ontario, can't beat it. Like, it's just phenomenal. Ty, do you have a favorite piece of road?
I'm kind of with Justin on this one. I would say one of my favorite runs to do is from Saskatoon to Houston, and it's more of a sentimental journey than anything. I used to do a lot of runs. Well, it was pretty much Edmonton to Houston, but I did a lot of runs back and forth, and kind of fell in love with that run. And you can drive it and never even look at a map. You know where all the good stops are, the good places to eat, and I don't know. That's one of my favorite runs.
Okay, that's sweet. Now, if you're listening to this on the radio show, you need to know, because you can't see it, but Ty has paid tribute to Justin by turning on the same color lights in his cab as Justin has on in his. So
it was getting dark. I couldn't see my face anymore.
So let's end off with this. Number one, Justin, thank you for what you do. Your attitude fits right in with the company that you drive for, and fits in with what we celebrate here at certainly in the group that you're part of, All Out Big Rigs, No Limits. That's you fit into their motto, and with Wow Trucks celebrating excellence on the road, you're all there. If you were to give us one motto for life on the road from Justin Price, what would it be?
Oh boy. Pay attention, don't get cocky. Listen to the old boys and take advice. Soak up as much information and knowledge as you can from the older generation.
Yeah.
Just be careful, be safe, and enjoy it.
Yeah. No, I love it.
Awesome.
And so thanks, Justin. I'm going to end off with one thought on that. Great companies, they don't just hope that younger drivers learn from older drivers. They actually pair them together when they begin their career. And so that they create an environment where they have to spend time together. And I think that goes a long way to building team and is sharing that knowledge and doing that stuff. And so if you're a fleet out there and you're struggling with, younger and older getting along, sometimes it's because they don't know each other. And so that, my experience with fleets that pair them early on and give them younger drivers mentors, and let them learn, it really pays off. And so it's kind of cool that that's kind of what's happened to you, and what's gonna, you're able to probably to do to others as you help out in the Saskatoon branch. So keep on driving, my friend. You're appreciated. Great to tell your story. And I'm sure we'll be chatting with you again.
Great.
Thanks, Justin.
Thanks, Ty. Thanks, David. Nice to meet you.